Thanks for checking out another sermon from the Internet's Church of Metal, Rockin' Metal Revival. You can download the entire show at rmrshow.com or check out this highlight from the latest RMR.
And a lot of the concepts and things in the TV show directly came from my radio show. So we just did them on camera. But we shot a pilot with Lita Ford. I went through a lot of pitch meetings and stuff. This was before Don and Jim were even involved in the show. And there were some other folks involved in the show, and that didn't work out. And then I stuck with it and, introduced Don and Jim to the channel and said, hey, look, these guys would be great. They're friends. We're all about the same age. We're all into the same music. We all grew up in the same area. And we think this will be a great chemistry. It'll work because, quite honestly, if we weren't doing this on TV, we'd be doing it anyway because it's what we do when we hang out. So we did that pilot. They saw how the three of us work together. Obviously, my job is to kind of anchor and host the thing. Their job is to make sure it doesn't get too serious and bring their comedic end of it to it. And it's worked. I mean, we all get along. We all have fun. Nobody takes it all too seriously. We all jab at each other and have a good time with it, and we all argue about stupid stuff that, we care about, and that's pretty much it. So it's worked really well. When we did that pilot, which was the show with Lita Ford, we didn't know if it was ever going to get seen. We didn't know if that show was ever going to make it to air. We sure as hell didn't know if it was going to get picked up. We didn't know anything. So to be sitting here talking to you, in September of 2009 on the eve of starting our third season, it's gone remarkably well, and we're all really grateful.
Eddie, I picked up when I was telling my wife tonight that we were talking to you. You're the reason that I got XM. I mean, because I used to follow all the Kiss sites, and you were always having Ace on the show, and we do a kind of a Kissmas show here, like you did on, or still do, the original Kissmas show. Yeah. And she refers to you as the Dick Clark of heavy metal, hard rock and heavy metal. And it's true. I mean, you're probably the most respected person in hard rock heavy metal. And are you surprised that it's not more mainstream than it is? I mean, because I can still go to a 18,000-seat arena and see it full, seeing Metallica, but to hear a new song on the radio from somebody like Megadeth, it's a search.
Yeah, it's just pretty much, and thank your wife for that. I hope I have the career and someday make the money and have the time in that Dick Clark does, because that's that would be quite an accomplishment. I mean he's that guy's a mogul on so many levels. But that being said, I mean I appreciate that respect and everything that I get from the community. Look, I mean it doesn't come without a lot of struggle and a lot of hard work. I mean, everything that I've ever done has been a struggle because of the type of music that I specialize in, which is what you just alluded to. I mean, it's just something that's always marginalized, never gets the credit it deserves. And it's always been tough, from getting my radio show first on the air and 26 years ago, getting, you mentioned the satellite show, which is now on Sirius and XM because of the merger, but getting them to understand in the beginning what I was about, and that I wanted to do something different, that I wanted to mix it up musically, that I wanted to incorporate a lot of talk and interview and opinion as well as just the music. So all those things were battles to get to where they are, and it's stuff that saved me in the end because it was real, and because I many people say I tell it like it is, and they like my interviews and all that. It's gotten me that respect and that following over the decades, and I'm grateful for it, and it's the same exact thing with what's going on with the TV show. I mean, it was a struggle. I mean, I could write a book over what I went through to get this show on the air, and one day I will. But it's once it's happened, I'm grateful for it, and I'm thankful, and it's all well worth it. But metal in general is always going to be that under the radar thing. I mean, it's. That's why it's so important, and I tell so many people this. It's just like, you're not gonna get the new Megadeth on the end cap at at Best Buy. It's just maybe Best Buy, maybe actually will Best Buy, but at Walmart certainly not. So, if you're a fan of this stuff, it's not like it was in the old days. You got to do a little bit of homework. You got to track it down. One of you guys I was just talking to a few minutes ago before we came on about Living Color, because they were just on my satellite show.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's just like you didn't know that there was a Living Color record out or that they were still together. And that's the thing. It's not your fault for not knowing that. It's just a fact that in the world we're in right now, it's so flavor of the month, and there's so many outlets for media, and it's so hard to dissect what's real and what's not, that you gotta, if you're fans of these bands, you gotta search them, and look on Google, or, find out what they're doing, bookmark their websites, bookmark people like yourself and what I do, and, just getting the word out and, doing stuff a little bit outside of the norm, and not just pumping the same stuff that you've heard about a million times. So as hard rock fans, as metal fans, as fans of any of these artists that aren't the new flavor of the month, whether it be Living Color or whether it be Slayer or whatever, or Stryper, it doesn't matter. None of these guys are going to get airplay. I went through a big conversation with Ace about this when he was getting ready to put this record out, and he had a completely warped idea of where the industry was because he hadn't put out a solo record in 20 years. And I actually talked him out of I talked him out, and he said this in interviews. I talked him out of the song he was going to put out as the first single.
Yeah, Fox on the Run.
He had mentioned that to us.
Yeah, because I'll never forget that conversation. It was not long ago at all. And I said, "You're crazy." I said, "I don't work with you in any capacity. We're friends, but I'm telling you straight up, I think that's the worst move you could make." And he's like, "Well, what are you talking about?" He said, "Why would you say that?" He goes, "You didn't even hear it yet." And I said, "I don't need to hear it. I just know that after 20 years of people waiting for a new song from you, if they get a cover song," and I said, "and don't forget your last couple singles were covers 20 years ago," I said, "they're going to think, who cares?" I said, he's like, "Well, it's got a better shot at airplay and the younger kid." I said, "Ace, that's not what goes on anymore." I said, "I love you to death and I hope that you conquer the world. But I said, the reality is the Rolling Stones' new music doesn't get played on the radio. Outside of some certain pockets, no matter what record you make or song you release, it's not going to get played. So come with a song that's a signature Ace song for your fans and let the chips fall where they may." The whole concept and the whole mentality of working records and catering to your fan base is completely changed now. And artists are finding that out. And, as fans, it's important that if we want these guys to survive and still make new music, that, we do the best we can to track it down and let others know that it's out there. And, I mean, it's just, let's face it, Kiss is doing a new record because of this Walmart arrangement. Gene said himself for years he'd never make new Kiss music. Who cares? No one's going to buy it. Well, his ears perked up because he saw a business deal. And I'm not saying anything negative about Gene, but all you got to do is watch his show. You know that he's about a business deal.
Oh, yeah.
And to me, that's what got him excited about this. I saw this coming from a mile away. When he saw the deals that AC/DC and Guns N' Roses were cutting, and I don't know how many people know the nature of those deals and how they work, but it's basically guaranteed money regardless of how much the record sells. So that's going to get anyone excited.
Now, I had heard, Eddie, that album might ship platinum. Is that true?
Well, it's a question of if best their deals with Walmart. If Walmart pre-purchased 1 million copies, then yes, it will ship platinum, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will sell platinum.
There you are, another sermon from Rockin' Metal Revival. The RMR is a 3-hour hard rock heavy metal show that can be heard anytime at rmrshow.com.